So, hello there, I'm Spike Knight, and welcome back to yet another Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, and I'm very excited about this, in today's podcast, I'm finally giving my rundown of my top 10 movies of 2023, alongside my 5 worst movies of 2023, and the 5 most anticipated movies I have to look forward to this year. But before I do that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, which is, if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello to my viewers, but prefer to listen to your podcast on Spotify, well, even look, as you can also listen to the podcast on Spotify, at Night of the Movies on that platform. And if you are already listening to this podcast on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also check the podcast out visually on my YouTube channel. Yes, you can watch this podcast on YouTube at Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, whatever you may be watching or listening to this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and please leave me with some feedback on things to improve on in future podcasts, because there are always things to improve on, and feedback is as ever much appreciated. Also, do let me know how this new mic sounds, wherever you may be watching or listening to this podcast, because I am using a new mic and I want to know how good it is or how bad it may be. I'd love to hear some feedback on how the audio quality of these podcasts is sounding. Anyway, as I've already mentioned, in today's podcast, I'm giving my rundown of my top 10 movies of 2023. That's right, I'm recording this on the 10th of January. On the 10th of January, I'm finally going to give my rundown of my top 10 movies of 2023, alongside my five least favourite movies of 2023 and my 5 most anticipated movies of this year. My 5 most anticipated movies of 2024. But first, let's go back on to 2023. Honestly, I thought 2023 was a great year of cinema. I didn't... You know what? Yeah, I did think it was a better year in cinema than 2022 was. I loved 2022 in cinema, but when I look back in it, I mainly look back on a couple of films, mainly Elvis, and now when I look back on the cinema of 2023, I look back on a lot of great, a lot of good, and a lot of watchable films, more than we had in previous years. And of course, we did have the pandemic in previous years, but still, I thought 2023 was a great year of cinema. And people who say otherwise, because there are people who say otherwise, people who say otherwise are not watching the right movies. They're just watching blockbuster after blockbuster. And sure, I can understand if you just watch blockbuster after blockbuster why you might say that last year was a bad year in cinema, but actually, if you look at non-blockbuster films, there was some pretty amazing ones. And so also some international films, which I think were just remarkable. And that is what I'm going to start off talking about in this podcast today. So, here are my top 10, but just before we get into my top 10, actually, I just realised I'm going to get some honourable mentions. So here are my honourable mentions from movies from 2023, which I really enjoyed, which I really loved, in fact, but they just didn't make into my top 10, personally. And these are in no particular order, by the way. Okay, here are my honourable mentions. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. I love this film. It's from Aardman, and I don't think Aardman put a foot wrong, and I think they did such a great job with the Chicken Run sequel, which is streaming on Netflix, and I can't recommend enough. Still a Michael J. Fox film, a wildly entertaining and very moving film about Michael J. Fox, who many people might know from the likes of Spin City and Back to the Future. You know, that documentary, it's on Apple TV Plus, and it's just, God, it's so good to watch, and it's also quite difficult to watch. Yeah, it's hit that right now, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And again, Apple TV Plus, and I can't recommend that enough. The Burial, which is on Prime Video, which I don't think got enough love, which starred Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx was sensational in that film. If you watch that film, just watch it for him alone, because he just owns every single time he's on screen. And Tom Lee Jones seems like he's actually having fun making the film, which is saying a lot for someone like him. Theatre Camp, which Actually, the more I think about theatre camp, the more it really grows me. I didn't love it the first time I saw it because it's so in your face, but looking back on it, I realised how unique of a film it is, and I really want to rewatch that because it had more of a lasting effect on me than I was expecting it to do. And The Fabelmans, which I know many people might be watching this or listening to this and podcast, I'm going to say, yes, but really, The Fabelmans came out in 2022, and for many people, it did come out in 2022. However, if you live in the UK, like myself, I live in the UK, The Fabelmans didn't come out till late January, as far as I remember, and so for me, The Fabelmans, the Steven Spielberg film, is a 2023 film, and I just loved that movie. I thought it was one of Spielberg's best films in 2020 years. What am I going on about? In 20 years, I thought it was one of Spielberg's best films in 20 years. I don't know if I preferred it over his version of West Side Story. I might prefer West Side Story, if I'm being completely honest, but I did think it was far better than the likes of AI, Artificial Intelligence, which he made in 2001. I do think it was better than Munich. I thought it was better than War of the Worlds. I thought it was better than Tintin. I thought it was way better than War Horse, which I really did not like. And I did think it was one of the most memorable Spielberg films in recent memories. And although this film didn't make my top 10, I do want to mention it. If I was going to do a top 11, this would be 11. This one I really want to point out, and that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This film did not make my top 10, although it almost did. Many people might be surprised by the fact that it did almost make my top 10, because it was not loved from audiences, and I know there are many people who have problems with this film, and I can completely understand why, but personally, I loved it. I didn't love it the same way I love the original three Indiana Jones films, and I don't love it as much as I hoped I would, but I love it for what it is. And what it is an Indiana Jones film about the old Indiana Jones character. That is why I liked it so much, because it is a character study about where Indiana Jones is at this point in his life. And if you've seen the previous 4 Indiana Jones movies leading up to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, or even if you've watched the Young Indiana Jones show, if you watched all the Indiana Jones stuff leading up to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, you will see why he is that kind of character that we meet in Dial of Destiny, why he is alone, why he has distanced himself from everybody in his life, because particularly in the Young Indiana Jones show, he meets all these people and he doesn't really stick around with them though. He doesn't really stay in one place. And Dial of Destiny, I thought, really focused on that very well. I thought that is what James Mangold, the director and co-writer of that film, did very well in showing us this Indiana Jones who has lost everything, who has been through the things that many humans have been through. He's been through loss, he's been through pain, he's been through sadness, because in the original 3 Indiana Jones films, as amazing as they are, and I love them to pieces, Last Crusade is my favourite film of all time, as good as those original 3 Indiana Jones films are, they show Indiana Jones in quite a heroic light, in a light where you almost feel like you could never be as good as it, you know? Especially when you get to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he's, 60 years old, and he's still doing all that stuff. And anyway, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is another thing in itself. But still, you know, what I really loved about Dial of Destiny is how it made the Indiana Jones character more realistic, it grounded the character, and it showed a very human side to him. Something you necessarily hadn't got in the Indiana Jones franchise beforehand. And on top of that, it had a phenomenal John Williams musical score, which quoted and echoed a lot of Williams' scores for the previous 4 Indiana Jones films. A lot of his motifs that he used in the previous 4 Indiana Jones films came back in Dial of Destiny. Some great supporting performances, particularly from Mads Mikkelsen. I loved him as a villain. I didn't love the way they wrote the villain. I thought they could have done more with him, but I did love him as a villain. I love the opening sequence. That's grown on me. When I first saw it, I didn't love the opening sequence because of the de-aging, but it's grown on me a lot more as it's gone, as time has gone by. And I had a really great time with that film, because it was not necessarily what I was expecting it to be, but I liked what it was. I liked what it did. Could it have been better? Sure. I think the finale of the film doesn't quite come together, and there's this big plot hole in the finale, like when he ends up back in New York in 1969. He's not a wanted man anymore, which doesn't really make any sense. And the film has a couple of plot problems like that, like when Mads Mikkelsen gets hit very harshly in the face at one point on a running train. If you've seen the film, you know exactly what moment I'm talking about. There are moments like that which don't totally work in the film, but it's an Indiana Jones film about Indiana Jones at that point in his life. And that is why I liked it so much, and that's why it's grown on me, and that's even why I loved it, in fact. So yes, if I was doing a top 11 films in this podcast, that would be 11th. You know, if I was doing my top 15, that would easily be 11th. But I'm not doing top 15, I'm just doing top 10. But I wanted to mention Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny because, although not everybody loved it, I did. Just not quite as much as I hoped I would. So, let's get into my top 10. And number 10 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Talk to Me. The whole movie, which was directed by YouTubers, I forgot their names off the top of my head right now, but it was directed by YouTubers, it was produced by A24, and it was brilliant. I'm not somebody who is a big fan of horror movies. I really not. And I went to go and see this, I think, a preview screening, and I wasn't that interested in seeing it, if I'm being completely honest. I went to because I could, and I thought, well, I'm going to go watch it anyway when it comes out. So glad I saw it at a preview screen, because it was just so entertaining and brilliant and exciting and thrilling, and at the same time, though, it was a proper horror movie that made me scared. I'm not trying to sound cool here, but when I go watch horror movies, usually at the cinema or even at home, you know, I don't get scared that much. But Talk to Me got under my skin in the way the best horror films do, and I thought it was a really clever, creative, and unique horror movie, which had a very different take on what I was thinking it was going to be. Yeah, I just loved it, and I love the energy of the film as well. You could tell it was directed by YouTubers, and in the best way possible. Yes, absolutely love Talk to Me. My 9th favourite film of 2023 was Barbie. The first time I saw this film, I did not like it. I did not hate it, but I did not like it. I admired it, so it just wasn't for me. Then it quickly became the highest grossing film. I was about to say one of the highest grossing movies. No, it was the highest grossing film of 2023, surpassing Super Mario Brothers at the box office last year. When that happened, I was like, okay, everyone's still talking about this film. Let's go back and rewatch it. Let's see if I missed anything the first time, because I may have. And, you know, I may have been expecting a very different movie, and what I saw just didn't click with me. So that's what I did. I went back to rewatch it. I'm so happy I did that. I am so happy I rewatched Barbie, because it did end up becoming one of my favourite films of 2023. It's number 9 on my top 10 favourite movies of last year, because of how clever it is. It's a very clever film. I think far cleverer than some people made it out to be. It's sharp, it's witty, and when it gets to you, when you realise what it's about the second time, well, when I realised what it was about the second time around, I just adored it, because I didn't totally get it the first time around. I don't know why, but the first time around, I think I was expecting this complete takedown of Barbie as a product, but it's not about that. It's about so many other things, and it's brilliantly written by Greta Gerwig, co-written by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. It's very well directed by Greta Gerwig too. You know, she co-wrote the film and she directed it, and you can tell that, you know, she really has a lot invested into this film. And Margot Robbie was great as Barbie, and Ryan Gosling was great as Ken, and the musical number, I'm Just Ken, is one of the best musical numbers I've seen in any film. over the past, I don't know, 10 years. It's been about 10 years now since I've started going to the cinema regularly to a degree, and this has been one of the best musical numbers I've seen in a film over the past 10 years. It just stuck with me so much. The music's great, the performances are great, the writing is on point. That monologue delivered by America Ferrera is really something. It was really something special. Yeah, it's a great film, and I absolutely loved it. I'm so happy I rewatched it. I can't wait to rewatch it again, in fact, because I feel I'll have a whole different take on it, and that's something that you can't say about many other films. That's something you can't say about many other films. Okay, number 8 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know how many people would have seen this, actually. I think this is a very, very good film. And I really didn't know what to expect when I went to go and see it at the cinema. I saw a trailer for it when I went to go and see it. I thought that trailer looked right up my alley. And I was so happy I went to go and see this film, because it is very, very good. To the point that I've been thinking about this film a lot. I'm really looking forward to rewatching it, because it's one of those films where it doesn't make you side with one character or with one situation. You think at the start of the film there's going to be a murder mystery about what really happened when this husband fell out of a window of a house. It's something like that, if I remember correctly. You think it's going to be about that. And then it isn't completely about that, though. There's more to it. And actually, it's not really about the murder mystery. It's more about... Well, it is and it isn't. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean. It's a film that is open to interpretation. And you make up your own mind as to what has happened. As to what happened there. As to what happened with this fall. And the way the film makes you question your decision on what happened is very, very well done. And there's one scene which really stuck with me after watching the film. It's a scene, if you've seen the film, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. It's a scene where there's an argument between two characters. It really, really sticks with you. And it goes on for like 5 minutes, that scene. And it's so well directed, it's so well written. The whole film is like that. And the kid in it is phenomenal. He's one of the best child actors I've seen in any movie period. He is incredible, and I would actually nominate him for an Academy Award. He won't be, but I would nominate him for that. And the lead performance from, I forgot her name now, but she was fantastic. Yeah, it's a really great film that I can't recommend enough. And it's a film which makes you make up your own mind, and that's another reason I loved it. My 7th favourite film from last year, number 7 of my top 10 films of 2023, is Rye Lane. A film which I don't think appeared in anyone else's top 10s, but I'm putting in my top 10 because I loved it. This film was really, really, really entertaining, and it was a great rom-com that was very different from what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be another one of those British rom-coms which, comes and goes. You watch it, it's fine, it's fun, and it's got some sweet moments, but it's nothing particularly special. This is a special film. It changes genre seamlessly from scene to scene, and it does it in such a way that it's so charming and so endearing, and you're watching it, and you can't help but just smile and go along with this love story. And I'm not somebody I'm not somebody who's I'm not somebody who is particularly into rom-coms, but I loved the romance at the centre of this film. I thought it was just wonderful. It was so well made. It was spectacular, in fact. The way it looked was great, and I really wish I got to watch it in a cinema, because I watched it on streaming, and I was mesmerised by the film when I was watching it on streaming, just by the way it looked. And the film itself, as Ronnie mentioned, is just delightful, charming, and God, it's great. It's just one of those films which makes you smile, The ending of the film isn't too cringy either. I wouldn't say it's that cringy. You know, loads of rom-com endings usually are very cringy. Just recently I watched Anyone But You, the Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell rom-com, and the ending of that film is, you know, cheese on another level. The ending of this film, it's a bit cheesy, but it works. And also it's payoff from something that happens early on the film, and that's another reason I loved it. Yeah, Rye Lane, it's under 90 minutes, and I can't recommend it enough. It's on streaming, it's on Disney Plus, I think it still is, and it's just, oh, it's so entertaining and so endearing. Whenever I think about the film, it just makes me smile. And number 6 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Past Lives. A very different love story than Rye Lane. Rye Lane is upbeat, it's quite fun to watch, and it's got a few emotional moments, but overall, it's quite uplifting, you know, it's a delightful watch. Past Lives is the opposite. Past Lives leaves you emotionally drained. I left the cinema watching Past Lives feeling completely broken inside. I was like, wow. Because I was watching Past Lives in the cinema. I was watching the first half of it. And I was thinking, okay, this is good. It's a good film. I'm liking it, but I'm not loving it. I'm not seeing what the fuss is about. Then you get to the second hour. Wow. I just couldn't believe the effect it had on me and the way the story progressed. It was so moving. And I'm going to say that about a lot of films in my top 10 list, as I already have. But this film, God, it really gets you in the feels. Just think about it now, it's made me tear up a little. Oh, it sticks with you so much. And Greta Lee is remarkable in that film. She really is. And this whole idea of what could have been in a past life. What if this didn't happen? What if this did happen? What if we actually got together and stayed together and you didn't marry this other person? All those ideas is done so well. And it's so... oh, it's just... it's near perfect, that film is. It really is. It's shot beautifully. There are so many shots in this film that I remember so vividly, and I only saw it once whenever it came out. Was it like September of last year? I only saw it once then, and there's still so many moments that I can remember just, again, so vividly in my memory. Just brilliant. And number 5 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Blackberry. Blackberry is fiercely entertaining. It's so good. And the first time I watched it, I thought maybe it was just my viewing experience at the time. Maybe I just was enthralled by it so much because of the mood I was in on the day. So I made a note of rewatching it last week. I rewatched it on the Sky Store. We watched on the Sky Store app on Now TV, I think. It's not on any streaming services, although it really should be, because I think it would get more love if it was. But it's not on any streaming services yet. Although when it does go on streaming services, put this on your flipping watch list, because it is fiercely entertaining, and much like the Aaron Sorkin, David Fincher film, The Social Network, it's a film about BlackBerry, about the BlackBerry phone, and I have no interest in the BlackBerry phone whatsoever. I don't think I even had one when they were out. And yet the film itself is so well written, so well directed, and so good. And again, I have no interest in the subject matter, but you get invested into the story, you find the story compelling, and you get engaged in the story just like that, just from the get-go. It is a remarkably good film that I loved even more the second time. It's got so many good performances, even from supporting actors who don't have a big role in the film, and it is incredible. I love BlackBerry so much. And yeah, again, I know this is about quite a lot of films in this podcast already today, but when this goes on to streaming services, watch it. It will really knock your socks off. Okay, number 4 on my top 10 my top 10 movies of 2023 is Nyad. Nyad is, well, if people don't know already, it's on Netflix, and it's a film about this woman named Diana Nyad, hence the name of the film, who at the age of 60, if I remember correctly, and winging this off the top of my head right now. If I remember correctly, at the age of 60, she decides to swim this very long distance, and it's something which hasn't been done before. It's like from Cuba to somewhere. What is it again? I'm just gonna look it up because it's a remarkable thing that she does. Just wait for my computer to actually work. Here we go. Yes, 64-year-old marathon swimmer Diana Nyad attempts to become the first person ever to swim from Cuba to Florida, and that's something which hadn't been done before. And the film, well, the story itself is extraordinary, and it's actually a true story. The film itself is also extraordinary, and the way you learn about these real-life people in the film, the way they are played by Annette Bening and Jodie Foster, is so magnetic, and it's a film which draws you in, gets you interested in what's going on, gets you interested in the story, and lets you know that it's all true because it uses real life stock footage from when the event was actually taking place, from when Diana Nyad was doing this swim, and it gets you engaged in the story just like that, and it is a proper crowd pleaser. You want to stand up at the end and cheer for Diana Nyad. You want to stand up at the end and just give the biggest standing ovation ever, because the film leads you with the biggest grin on your face and makes you want to get out there and achieve your dream. It's a proper crowd-pleasing film that is uplifting, that is such a great watch, and also intense at times. It's an intense film that is just... oh, it's brilliant. I loved it. Loved it. Okay, and number 3 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One is an extraordinary film. It is really not what you expect it to be. It's a Godzilla film. By all means, it's a Godzilla film. But it's not the Godzilla film you might expect. It is the best Godzilla film I've ever seen, though. It is one of the best monster movies I've ever seen. In fact, I may even say it's the best monster movie I've ever seen since Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is my favourite monster movie of all time. This is probably my second favourite monster movie of all time, because you care about the characters, you care about their situation, you care about them, you get invested into the characters just like that. Just like that, when you find out that the main character, Koichi, I think that's the character's name, when you find out that he is a kamikaze pilot who ran away from his duties because he wanted to live, when you find out that at the start of the film, and when you see his first face-off with Godzilla, you get invested into the film just like that, and the way that keeps coming back in the film, the way that Koichi's PTSD with Godzilla keeps coming back to haunt him and keeps coming back in so many moments in the film, is just it's some of the best cinema I've seen in the past couple of years. And it's one of those films that just gets better and better as it goes on. Started a little wobbly for me, I will admit, but then by the end I was completely and emotionally swept up by the film's finale, to the point that I was almost in tears. And I don't really feel like that about monster movies. I've never really felt in tears with a monster movie, with the exception of Peter Jackson's King Kong. I haven't really felt that emotionally invested in what's going on with the monster movie before, and yet by the end of this movie, I was hooked in. I couldn't keep my eyes from the screen. The musical score was so on point, the performances were so on point, the main character's storyline was very compelling and very well written. And what Godzilla represented in this film was done very well. This whole threat of nuclear weapons, and also he represented, everything that Koichi feared, and it's just it's fantastic. Even if you're not a fan of Godzilla movies or not a fan of monster movies, I would without a doubt recommend this, because it's not. I mean, it is a Godzilla movie. Godzilla's in it, and all the Godzilla sequences are phenomenally well done. But it's also a film about somebody trying to overcome their PTSD. It's about, that's what it's really about. And even if you're not a monster movie fan, I would definitely, without a doubt, urge you to watch this film. So yes, that's number 3 on my top 10 movies of 2023. And number 2 on my top 10 movies of 2023 is Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. The film I think is going to sweep at this year's Academy Awards. It's Oppenheimer. This film is just... Pardon me there. This film is just phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about this film other than the fact that it's perfect. It's just, well, I'd say it's near perfect. On reflection, I'm not sure if the nudity was needed, if being completely honest. Apart from that, that's the only nitpick I have with the film. Apart from that, I think it is riveting, insanely rewatchable, very well crafted, because Christopher Nolan, if you see him in interviews talk about this, he didn't actually... I don't think he wrote the film like the way it turned out. He said once he made the film, there was a lot of changing scenes around. It was something like that. I'm sure he said something like this. And it was a lot of changing scenes around and putting them in different places. And then seeing the way they ended up in the final edit. And the way they end up in the final edit, the way everything comes together is... just, oh my, it leaves you so astounded by the filmmaking, by the kite choices, by the writing choices, and there were so many moments which just, oh my god, so memorable. It's a really amazing film that I'm going to rewatch soon because we just got on DVD. My brother just bought it on DVD recently, and I'm really looking forward to rewatching it because I'm going to have just as great a time watching it as I did watching... I'm going to have just as a great time rewatching it, should I say, as I did watching it the first few times in the cinema. I saw it twice in the cinema, and the second time I saw it, I liked it even more. It is incredible. And I think it is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I don't think it is his best film. I think for me, Nolan's best movie might still be Batman Begins. But I think this is not... I think this is, well, this is a close runner-up, let's just say that. It's a close runner-up. And Cillian Murphy, how many spoken about performances? Cillian Murphy, best performance. One of the best actors, and if he doesn't win the Academy Award, if he doesn't win the Academy Award, because he will definitely get nominated, but if he doesn't win the Academy Award, I might eat my shoe. Because he's on another level in this film. And Robert Downey Jr., first time he's probably acting in about 10 years. Just... insanely good. The whole film is insanely good. I loved it. Absolutely loved Oppenheimer. And my number 1 of 2023, my favourite movie of 2023 of last year, is Saltburn. I love this movie so much. I think it is insanely rewatchable. The first time I saw it, my biggest worry was that it wasn't going to be good on a rewatch. That was my biggest worry after I did my review. After I saw the film and did my review, I thought, giving it quite a positive review there, is it going to be good as a rewatch? So when it came out on Prime Video, I made a note of rewatching, and that's exactly what I did on New Year's Eve. And I'm so glad that I did. I love it even more now. I know there's a lot of people out there, from what I've heard, it's sort of becoming a running joke that over the Christmas period, lots of people came back to their homes for Christmas and watched Saltburn with their parents or with their families and then quickly regretted it, and I can completely understand why. I love that happened, by the way. I love that happened, if it is true, because I've just been hearing that off my brothers and a couple of people online. But I think that's brilliant, the fact that people were watching this film with their families, because it is not a film to watch with your parents or your families. It is a film to watch by yourself, and that's what I've done both times. But, oh God, I love so much about this film. Whether it's performances, Barry Keoghan, just love him so much, and that final scene with him, murder on the dance floor. If you've seen the final scene of the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love how this film is. I love how atmospheric the film is. I love how sexy the film is. I love how creative the film is. I love how completely unique it is. Because yes, it does borrow a bit off the talented Mr. Ripley. Yes, it does a little bit, but it's also very original. It's not just a remake of the talented Mr. Ripley. Some people made it out like it is. No, it's not. It's very much his own film, and I mean, it's unforgettable and mesmerizing. I was floored by this film both times I've seen it. I was floored by it, and it's beautifully shot. I love the way this film looks, and it's Emerald Fennell's second film after Promising Young Woman, and I think it is just. I think it's a masterpiece. I mean, I thought Oppenheimer was a masterpiece too, and I thought Godzilla Minus One was a masterpiece. This is a masterpiece for the ages, in my opinion. I'm going to watch this every year from now on New Year's Eve. I love it so much. I love the music choices too, and the score. I forgot to do the score now. I'm forgetting a lot off the top of my head right now, but I love the music. I mean, I just love the whole film. Yeah. Love Saltburn, and that is my favourite film of 2023. So let's go back and run down my top 10 of 2023. At number 10 was Talk to Me. At number 9 was Barbie. At number 8 was Anatomy of a Fall. At number 7 was Rye Lane. At number 6 was Past Lives. At number 5 was Blackberry. At number 4 was Naiad. At number 3 was Godzilla Minus One. At number 2 was Oppenheimer. And at number 1 was Saltburn. So that was my top 10 favourite movies of 2023. Now let's get a bit negative. Now let's get into my 5 worst movies of 2023. So, just before I give my list out, I should say this. My list of the top 5 worst movies of 2023 will probably differ from a lot of people's lists of the 5 worst movies or the 10 worst movies of 2023. Because, for me, because I'm not being paid to do what I do on YouTube, if I was, it would be a different matter. But because I'm not being paid, I don't go and watch bad movies if I hear they're bad. I think that's completely fair, because I'm not going to waste my time to go and watch a bad movie or to watch a bad movie on streaming if I hear elsewhere that it's atrocious or that it's just not that good. Rebel Moon, which is a Zack Snyder film, which just, came out just before Christmas on Netflix, I heard that was a really, really bad film. So guess what? Didn't watch it. The Marvels, which came out in November last year, I heard that film was not good. Didn't go to watch it at the cinema. Also, was another one there. Yeah, Exorcist Believer. I heard that film was was completely almost. Yeah, I heard that film was just a. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I heard that film was not very good. I heard that film was a really bad Exorcist movie and just a really bad film in general. So guess what? I didn't go to watch it. That being said, there are some films that I hear are bad, but look like a lot of fun. Films which look like they could be so bad they're good. Like Meg 2 The Trench, which I did go and watch this year and might come up very shortly in my top 5, my 5 least favourite films of 2023. So there is a bit of that. If I hear a film is so bad that it's good, I might go and watch it. Or if it looked so bad that it's good, I might go and watch it. But more often than not, if I hear a film is bad, I'm not going to go and see it. So bear that in mind when I give my 5 least favourite films of 2023 right now. And to start the list, number 5 on my least favourite films of 2023 is Fast X. I should say here that before watching Fast X, before watching this at the cinema, I had never ever seen any other Fast and Furious film, including the spin-offs. I'd never seen any other Fast and Furious film because I knew this franchise wasn't going to be for me. However, I went to go and see Fast and Furious 10, or Fast X as it's called, because my mates said, why not? My mates wanted to go and I said, okay, why not? It could be a bit of fun. It makes no sense. I mean, there's so many moments in this film which are just nonsensical. Vin Diesel, who seems like a really nice guy. I mean, I know there's a bit of controversy surrounding him right now, but, you know, when he's on doing his red carpet appearances, he seems like a really nice guy. Yet his acting in this film is, I mean, it's not even acting. Not really sure why this film had as big a cast of it as it did. I understand that a lot of these characters had been in the previous 9 Fast and Furious films, but still, did they need to be in this one? Because I'm not sure everyone had a role to play. And although it had some kind of entertaining moments, they just didn't make any sense. And I didn't care about what was going on. You know, if I don't care about the action sequences going on in the film, the chance that, you know, it just feels like visual noise to me if I don't care about action in a movie. It's just like, oh, there's all this happening, the editing's not bad, and big CGI action sequences, but why should I care? And Fast X didn't give me reason to care. And sure, you might say, yeah, it's because you haven't seen any of the other Fast and Furious films. Maybe, but I've seen, you know, franchise films before. I've come in at a franchise late before and I've actually enjoyed the film. Fantastic Beasts 3. I watched that. That may well have been my first Harry Potter movie, and guess what? I enjoyed that. And so yeah, just because I go into the franchise late doesn't mean that I shouldn't be able to join. I shouldn't be able to enjoy. Just because I go into a franchise late, it doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to enjoy a film. But I didn't even know what was going on in this one. Just yeah, terrible. And number 4 on my on my 5 least favorite films of 2023 was The Whale. The Whale, actually, for many people, if you're watching this outside of the UK, probably came out in 2022. But in the UK, it came out in February, if I remember correctly. I hated this film. Like, really, really hated it. Because it felt like it was relishing on its subject matter. It felt like it was having fun. It felt like the filmmakers behind this film were having fun and were enjoying making a film about this really not nice subject matter. Let's just say that. This subject matter which you shouldn't be having fun making a film about. Let's just say that. And it's just, the film itself is really stagey. And the performances I didn't think were great. You know, Sadie Sinker's in this, and she's most well known for Stranger Things. I didn't think she was that good in this film. And Brendan Fraser did win the Oscar for this film, and I liked that he won the Oscar. Not sure if he deserved it though. I did not think that this was the best performance in the Oscar race last year. I really hated this film, and it just really frustrated me watching it in the cinema. There was no nuance in it either, and I didn't believe in anything going on. It felt like, what was it, Darren Aronofsky who made this film? It felt like it was a film he wanted to make and he had fun making it. And I'm not sure why. So that was my 4th least favourite film of last year. My 3rd least favourite film of last year was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Not going to go on about this film too much because I don't want to shit on Marvel movies on this channel anymore. Enough people do that already. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was atrocious. I mean, it was really, really abysmal. The writing, abysmal. The characters and their character development, their so-called character development in the film, abysmal. The CGI, abysmal. The whole film, the filmmaking in itself, abysmal. It's an abysmal movie. And I actually don't mind the first 2 Ant-Man films. I don't think they're anything special, but they're watchable. Particularly the first one, it's okay. Sort of for me watching a Friday night. This film, what were they thinking? And like Marvel's come out and said about this movie after it came out, said, you know, oh, we thought you made a cracking movie, we thought you made a really great film. What part of Marvel thought, that is a really, really solid film, we're going to put that out and get a lot of money from it? I don't know who said that. I don't know who looked at the film and said, that is worthy of a cinematic release. Oh, it's so bad. Just hated it. And I'm not a Marvel fan, but I can give a Marvel film a go. And I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which came out last year. I didn't think it was one of the best films of last year, but I enjoyed it. This film was really, really awful, though. I mean, also, why the hell was the Wasp in the title of this film? I don't even remember the role she played, and Michael Douglas looked bored as hell in the writing. I mean, that moment when Ant-Man's daughter says, "Don't be a dick." Oh my god, it's just... Oh, the more I think about that film, the more of a headache I get. And I already have one already. Okay, my second least favourite film of 2023 was Meg 2 The Trench. I went to go and see this film thinking it was going to be a lot of fun, thinking it looked like it was going to be so bad it was good. You know, so bad it was one of those films you could just laugh at, not take it too seriously and just have a good time at cinema. No, this film tries to take itself seriously. It really tries to take itself seriously. That's the problem. The film is about 2 hours long. And the problem is, the first 90 minutes or so of the film treats itself quite seriously. It feels like, what's his name? The guy, Ben Wheatley, who made this film, who is a good filmmaker, if you don't believe me what sites he is. He directed this film, and it felt like he was trying to make Jaws to a degree. But it didn't make any sense. And I haven't seen the first Meg film. Maybe the first Meg film was very similar. But I'm watching Meg 2 The Trench, and I fell asleep. I fell asleep in numerous moments. And then you get to the third act of the film, which is the big action-packed finale. Just some of the worst filmmaking I've seen of last year. Truly some of the worst filmmaking I've seen last year. And again, I think Ben Wheatley is a good director, but the filmmaking in the finale of this film is amateur at best. I wouldn't even say that. I mean, I don't even know what they were thinking. And apparently Meg 3 is in the works. I mean, really? This is what people are seeing? I mean, I'm a hypocrite there. I went to go and see it as well, but I would... You know, if Meg 3 comes out, I will not be watching it because this film wasn't even dumb fun. That's its biggest crime. It wasn't even dumb fun. Just terrible. Anyway, my least favourite film of last year was The Flash. Yes, The Flash was my least favourite film of 2023. And I know there's some people out there who did enjoy this film. And if you did, that's great. One of my closest friends thought it was one of the best films of last year. Really, really loved it. And again, I say this all the time on this channel. If you love a film more than I do, if you even like a film more than I do, that is just brilliant. Because I'm so jealous of that. I really want to love every single film I see. That being said, The Flash is one of those films that the more I think about it, the more I hate it. And the more I really, really hated that. Because I thought it could have been a really smart film that explored multiverse in a really clever way. Explored how Barry, aka The Flash, could save his mother in a different multiverse and maybe live in that multiverse where his mother is still alive or something like that. Instead, the film, it does that a little. There's the whole stuff with his mother in there. Doesn't really go anywhere. And it's small moments in the film. It is not focused on whatsoever. The film is really about, oh, it's a DC multiverse film. Let's do all these multiverse things. Let's have these cameos from the likes of, you know, the late Christopher Reeves, and let's have a little Adam West bit in there. Let's have a cameo from Nicolas Cage in there, which if we don't really know the backstory, that would just seem confusing. And let's have all these different cameos, and let's have Supergirl pop up in here. Why? I don't know, because we could have Supergirl pop up in here. Let's have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman come back. Why? Because why not? Let's have Ben Affleck as Batman come back. Why? Because why not? Well, let's have Michael Keaton as Batman come back. Why? Because why not? That's what a lot of the film is. There was no solid reason, at least as far as I remember, which means there was no memorable reason as to why these DC characters came back. Why we had all these DC multiverse characters in this film. Like, why the hell was Michael Keaton in this film? Other than the filmmakers going, oh, you know, jingling the keys, going, oh, look what it is. Don't worry that the film doesn't actually make any sense. Michael Keaton's Batman's here. Oh, he's got his Batwing. Oh, he's got his Batcycle and all that jazz. Look, Michael Keaton's Batman is back. Enjoy this film. When actually, that's annoyed me. It was just like, oh, let's do all this with Michael Keaton's Batman because we can. and because Michael Keaton came back as Batman, which I still don't really understand why. In the ending of the film, and spoiler here in case you haven't seen The Flash yet, though, it's been out for a while. If you didn't want to see it, if you did want to see it, you've had enough time to now. At the end of The Flash, George Clooney pops up as Bruce Wayne in a scene which is laughable. I don't mean laughable in a good way. It doesn't make any sense, doesn't work, and the background to the setting of that scene looks so fake. It really frustrates me, and the thing which frustrates me the most about The Flash is all this setup. There's so much setup in the film, and the payoff is either non-existent or terrible. The payoff is so frustrating because at one point in the film, they kill Michael Keaton's Batman. You're thinking, okay, that was an interesting way to do it. Don't know if interesting is a right word there, but still, that was not a great death scene for Michael Keaton's Batman. Then, he dies again. And it's like, okay, you're going to kill Batman? Oh no, you're bringing him back. Are you going to kill him? Oh no, you're bringing him back. Are you going to kill him? Oh no, you're bringing him back. Oh, you're going to kill him? Oh no, he's back again. And it's just, it just annoyed me so much because I really thought it could have been great. I really, really thought it could have been great, but it just felt like DC wanted to do multiverse because Marvel's just done multiverse. That's what it felt like. Just because it was right there as well. They could have done something really great with this film, and they didn't. It's terrible in my eyes. Just, so frustratingly bad. And I really hated the final battle sequence too. It looked like something out of a video game. And Michael Shannon, returning as General Zod, looked bored as hell. And you know what? I was bored as hell watching it as well. I was right there with you, Michael Shannon. Hated The Flash. Absolutely hated it. Because I had things invested in that film. I actually enjoy more DC films than most people do. I enjoy the DCU. I enjoy the DCEU overall more than most people, I reckon. But The Flash was not for me. Anyway, those were my 5 least favourite films of last year. So let's give a rundown of that. And number 5 was Fast X. And number 4 was The Whale. And number 3 was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And number 2 was Meg 2: The Trench. And at number 1 was The Flash. So, now that we are done with 2023, with the movies of 2023, and again, I thought we had a really good year in cinema in 2023, let's look forward to the movies coming out this year in 2024. So, first of all, I'm going to give some honourable mentions of things that didn't make my 5 most anticipated of 2024 movies list. I'm going to give some honourable mentions, firstly. And my first honourable mention is on The Bikeriders, starring Austin Butler, Tom Hardy and Jodie Comer. Now, funny thing about The Bikeriders, I've already seen it. I saw it in October of last year. And guess what? It doesn't come out until late July. And I've already seen the film. And I love it. Honestly, if it did come out this year, it would have been in my top... if it did come out in 2023, sorry, it would have been in my top 10 of 2023. Even if it came out on New Year's Day, I would have just sneaked into my top 10 of 2023 because I think it's a phenomenal film. I've heard some people say, oh, it's nothing special. Watch it. It may not strike you when you initially watch it, but yeah, it sticks with you. It's a really great film, and I wanted to put it on this list so people look out for it. Again, Austin Butler, star of Elvis, Tom Hardy. If you don't know who he is, you live under a rock. And Jodie Comer, the star of Killing Eve, great in The Last Duel, and probably the best part of Free Guy. Yeah, she stars in this film too, and they are all just, brilliant. The film itself is brilliant, and I can't wait to rewatch it, which is why I have put it on my honourable mentions, because I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Also, here's some other honourable mentions of films I'm looking forward to for the remainder of 2024. I say the remainder of 2024, we're barely into 2024, but other films I am looking forward to coming out this year. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, got my Ghostbusters t-shirt on here. Really looking forward to seeing the new Ghostbusters film. Loved Ghostbusters Afterlife, it was a proper popcorn flick. I don't really like using that phrase, but I just did then. I really enjoyed that film. It had this Stranger Things and this Ghostbusters feel to it, and I thought it worked. I liked it, and I'm looking forward to see where the story goes. Especially as I've heard down that, in the trailers it was revealed that the original Ghostbusters cast well, back in this new Ghostbusters film. That's exciting, and they're not trying to cover them up. I remember in the trailers for Ghostbusters Afterlife, they're trying to cover the fact that the original cast was back. In this film, they're not, and I'm really excited about that. Gladiator 2. I loved the first Gladiator, and this would be my 5 most anticipated, but we haven't seen a trailer for it yet. We haven't really seen any marketing for it. They're still shooting the film, and a part of me thinks that maybe won't come out this year. That being said, Ridley Scott is making it. He made the first Gladiator, and he's coming back to direct this one. And he makes films and edits films remarkably quick. Like, he already has his next film lined up. He's already spoken about it. After Gladiator 2, he already has his next film lined up for production, which is really shows the power of a great filmmaker. And I do think Ridley Scott is a great filmmaker. I just don't think he's made many great films recently. Although I loved The Last Duel, I did not like Napoleon at all. It almost made my 5 least favourite films of 2023. But I loved Last Duel, and I'm really hoping this is a return to form for Ridley Scott, especially with the cast. You know, there's no confirmation that Russell Crowe's returning, although I think he is for a cameo because he's still great friends with Ridley Scott. But even so, there's no confirmation that Russell Crowe is even returning for a cameo, and that Joaquin Phoenix is returning. We have the likes of, what's his name, Paul Mescal in the lead role. Pedro Pascal, who's everywhere right now, he's going to be in this film. Denzel Washington's going to be in this film. And Jaimin Hunt, who's returning, and there's another big name attached to it, Joseph Quinn, which many people might know as Eddie from Stranger Things Season 4. They are all going to be in this film. The cast sounds great. Hoping this is a return to form for Ridley Scott, and hoping that it's not a sequel which is just made because it could have been made. I'm hoping it's great. I'm really, really hoping it is. But I just can't be that excited for it because I haven't seen much about it. Then Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is the new Planet of the Apes film. I love War for the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I didn't love Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but I did enjoy Rise of the Planet of the Apes though. And I'm excited to see where they take the Planet of the Apes franchise now. Andy Serkis is not in it though, which is why I can't say that I'm really that excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, definitely, but I'd be more excited for it if Matt Reeves was attached to direct it still, like he directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes, and if Andy Serkis' name was attached too. Part of me wants to see what an Apes movie is like without them, but part of me is still thinking, God, if they were back, just would have been better, you know. But they're not, and the trailer for this film looks really, really good. I'm wondering what it's going to be like without them. Still, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I know those are my honourable mentions of films I'm looking forward to this year, which didn't make my top 5 list. But here's my top 5 list of films I'm looking forward to for this year. And number 5 is Beetlejuice 2. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the first Beetlejuice. I'm not the world's biggest fan of the original Beetlejuice, but I do find that film wildly entertaining. I think it's a very fun film to watch, and I really want to see Tim Burton return to his work because he did direct the original Beetlejuice and he's directing the sequel, and it's got many of the same returning cast members. You know, Winona Ryder is coming back. Michael Keaton, I think, is coming back as Beetlejuice. It'd be a bit weird if he wasn't, you know. Can't say Beetlejuice 3 times. I've just said it 3 times now. Beetlejuice is going to come back in the background, you know. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about there. And there's somebody else. One who played Winona Ryder's mother. She's going to come back as well. I've got her names off the top of my head right now. But yeah, it's got some returning cast members coming in. And some new additions which I'm very excited about. The likes of Jenna Ortega, who's meant to be playing Winona Ryder's daughter in the film. Monica Bellusci's meant to be playing Beetlejuice's bride, and Willem Dafoe, which I never thought I'd see Willem Dafoe in a Beetlejuice film, or even a Tim Burton film for that. But there we go. Willem Dafoe is going to be in a Tim Burton film and a Beetlejuice film at that. And I'm really, really looking forward to this film. I think it's coming out in September. Really looking forward to it. However, I haven't loved Tim Burton films for a while. I haven't loved many of his new releases. I'm hoping this is a return to form for him. I didn't love his directing in Wednesday. So I'm hoping this is better. And I'm hoping that this has more of his passion and more of him in it. Because his past couple of movies haven't felt like they did. and I'm hoping this one does. And I'm really looking forward to it, mainly because it's a Beetlejuice sequel. It's taken this long to come. It's taken this long to be made. They've been talking about Beetlejuice sequel, as far as I'm aware, ever since the original came out, and I'm looking forward to seeing this one for sure. And number 4 on my most anticipated movies for this year is Argyle. What's that film, you may say? Well, it's a new film directed by Matthew Vaughn, who is the director of all 3 previous Kingsman movies, alongside directing the likes of Stardust, Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class, and Layer Cake. Layer Cake I just watched for the first time last year. Great film. And this is his new spy action movie starring the likes of Henry Cavill, Ariana DeBose, John Cena, Dua Lipa, Bryan Cranston, Bryce Dallas Howard, Samuel Jackson, and loads of others. I mean, that cast is just full of actors I never ever thought I'd see together. But I'm so happy that we're getting that. We're getting them all together in a film. And the trailer for this film is out. And the premise, I must admit, works for me. It's one of those premises which can either go wrong really quickly or right very fast, if you follow me. You know, it could go really, really good. I'm hoping it turns out to be really, really good. It's got a bit of a meta premise. It's got a bit of a meta premise, and it looks really exciting. And I'm hoping that it's another great spy action movie from Matthew Vaughn, the guy directed the first Kingsman film, which I adore to pieces. I'm hoping it's going to be something in line with that first Kingsman movie, not necessarily the second Kingsman film, which I don't mind, by the way, I actually quite enjoy, but more in line with the first Kingsman film. And I'm hoping it's going to be a surprise for a lot of people. I'm really hoping it is. And number 3 on my 5 most anticipated movies for 2024 is Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 was meant to come out last year, and I really wish it did. But instead it's coming out in March, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, March, I think it's, yeah. The trailers for this film look great. I loved the first Dune, not quite as much as I was hoping I would, but I still loved it. And I, more than anything, really want to see where the story goes. Because this film could be really dark. It could be the 2 towers of the Dune franchise if it's done really well. And they're new additions to the cast with the likes of Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken. I'm very interested how they're going to fit into this Dune world. I really like the world that Denis Villeneuve created in that first Dune movie. And I really want to see how the story continues more than anything, because the first Dune movie left it on a cliffhanger to a degree. I mean, I like the ending of the first Dune film. A lot of people criticised it. I like the ending. But I want to see the story continue. I want to see where the story goes, and I've got a good feeling about this film. Especially because there's been some reports from some people who've already seen it, because I dare say they've had some critics screenings for this film and sort of what, like. And there's been some very good things said about the film already. I'm hoping it's brilliant. I'm really, really hoping it is, and I've got a feeling it's going to be. Okay, and number 2, my second most anticipated movie for this year is Joker 2. It's not actually called that, it's called Joker Foil de Feu or something like that, but Joker 2, let's just call it that. I loved the first Joker the first time I saw it. Loved that film. Ever since I first saw it, though, it's sort of gone down in my liking, because I realised it actually takes a lot from the Martin Scorsese movies Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. But still, I want to see this sequel. I want to see it because they weren't meant to make a sequel. And Joaquin Phoenix, who played the Joker in the first Joker film and has returned to play the Joker in this film, doesn't do sequels. As far as I'm aware, doesn't really do sequels. And I want to see why he's returned to play the Joker in this film. I want to see what made him want to return. I want to see what brought in Lady Gaga to play Harley Quinn too. I want to see how this all comes together. And apparently there's some musical numbers which might alienate people from this film. That excites me though. I want to see musical numbers in this world of the Joker. I want to see how that works. I really want to see a follow-up. I bet you that this film takes a lot of inspiration from the Martin Scorsese film New York, New York, which is also a musical. I 1000% bet you that it takes... Okay, 1000% is a big number, but I would, yeah, I would place a money bet that this film borrows a lot from New York, New York. I haven't seen that film. I'm gonna watch it before I see Joker 2, but I bet it does. Still, I want to see more from this world of the Joker. Fully enough, I never thought I'd say that, but I'm here saying it now. I want to see more from this world. I want to see Joaquin Phoenix back as the Joker, and it might also be the first time, if the film is a success and if he is as good as he is in the first film, it might be the first time that Joaquin Phoenix gets. It might be the first time that any actor gets nominated for the same role twice at the Academy Awards and wins twice. If his performance is even better in this film, which it has the it has the capability of being. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for Joker 2. If a little worried at the same time. Still, it's my second most anticipated movie for this year. And my most anticipated film for 2024 is, without a doubt, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The new Mad Max film, which is actually a Mad Max spin-off, but as far as I'm aware, it's a Mad Max film because it's directed by the same guy who directed all previous 4 Mad Max films. You know, Mad Max 2 Road Warrior, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and Mad Max Fury Road, which came out in 2015. And yes, it's the first Mad Max film since 2015, almost 10 years after the last one. I cannot wait for this film, and I cannot wait to see what George Miller, who, like I said, he's directed all 4 previous Mad Max films, has been cooking up for this time. I can't wait to see this film. The trailer, I watched it just before doing this podcast today. It's got this intensity in it. Just in the trailer alone. You know, it's got this it just gets you so pumped up, and I want to see this film now. When's it come out? In like March or May? It comes out in a month that begins with the letter M. And I think it's actually meant to come out on the same day as a new Planet of the Apes film, which I find quite funny. Still, I can't wait to see this film. I am going to watch it as soon as I can the day it comes out. This is, without a doubt, my most anticipated movie of 2024. I was about to say 2023 there. Of 2024. Chris Hemsworth looks great in this film. So does Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, she's on a roll of the roles she is choosing. I can't wait to feel the intensity of a Mad Max from the cinema, because I've never felt that, because I didn't watch Mad Max very well in the cinema. I can't wait to see this film. I'm hoping it's going to be another action masterpiece like the previous 4 Mad Max films were, and I'm hoping it really delivers that proper cinematic experience. Because I haven't had that with a Mad Max film, and I hear so many people telling stories online about the time they saw Mad Max Fury Road in the cinema, and they can believe their eyes. I want to have that with this Mad Max film. Fingers crossed I do. And that is my most anticipated movie for 2024. So let's go and run down that one last time. My 5th most anticipated movie for 2024 is Beetlejuice 2. My 4th most anticipated movie for this year is Argyle. My 3rd most anticipated movie for this year is Dune Part 2. My 2nd most anticipated movie is Joker 2. And my most anticipated movie of 2024 is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The new Mad Max film. But also, I'm looking forward to the film I don't know about yet. I'm looking forward to the film that I have no knowledge of yet, but I'll hear about in a couple months' time. I'll hear everyone raving about it, and I'll go and see it, and I'll either love it or hate it. But hopefully love it, and hopefully become my number 1 of 2024. You know, that's what happened with Saltburn last year. I hadn't heard of Saltburn until a couple months before I watched it in the cinema. Ended up becoming my favourite film of last year. Same with Elvis a year beforehand. I am looking forward to the film I don't necessarily know about yet. And I'm looking forward to how that film is going to surprise me and how it's going to surprise everybody, perhaps. You know, I think Saltburn surprised everybody, maybe not for the right reasons, but I think it definitely surprised everybody. And I'm looking forward to just hopefully having another great year in cinema. I'm hoping that the blockbusters properly deliver this year. Even the ones I'm not looking forward to too much. I'm going to be honest, I'm not looking forward to Deadpool 3 that much. I'm hoping it's brilliant though, and it tackles multiverse in a clever and moving and exciting way. I'm hoping The Fall Guy with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt turns out to be incredible. I don't think it looks incredible, but I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that all the blockbusters properly deliver this year, including Sonic 3, which is meant to come out at Christmas. I've not been a fan of the Sonic franchise whatsoever so far, but you know what? I have faith in Sonic 3. God knows why, but I have faith in it. Yeah, I'm just really hoping we're going to have another great year of cinema. Make it even better than last year, in fact. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the film I don't know about yet. I'm really looking forward to seeing what amazing cinema 2024 has to come. And so that is it for today's podcast. Yes, we finally got to the end. Blimey, this podcast has been going on for a while. So thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. If you have watched or listened up to this point, if you just skipped to this point, take that thanks away, because you didn't even watch the full podcast. You're going to experience this podcast in order to receive the thanks. I don't even know what I'm going on about there, but thank you as always for watching or listening to this podcast. Let me know your favourite films of last year, your least favourite films of last year, and the films you're most looking forward to this year. And yeah, let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this podcast. And look forward to many more podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. As I've already said, thank you as always for watching or listening to this podcast. And yeah, I suppose that's it. So I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.